leadership came from a title, a degree, a stamp of approval that says, you're allowed to speak now. And then I realized real leadership doesn't ask permission. It comes from lived experience. When I was in high school, Harvard sent me a letter, a promotional mailing. A rumor started that I had been accepted. Teachers congratulated me, students whispered, and for a moment I wondered, maybe I was someone with a story worth listening to. It wasn't true. I didn't get into Harvard. I didn't even apply. I left high school homeless. For a long time, I thought that disqualified me, that I couldn't lead, that unfinished stories don't matter. But they do, because lived experience carries authority no title can grant. 5 years ago, Child Protective Services knocked on my door. Again. I was a single mom, raising twins with special needs, living in public housing, doing everything I could to survive. That moment almost broke me. 2 weeks later, I joined a statewide virtual meeting. 200 professionals, titles, credentials, letters after their name. I had none. My hands shook. My voice felt small. But I typed anyway. Not polished, not rehearsed, survival. And something incredible happened. They needed my lived experience more than they needed my polish. They needed someone who had been inside the system, unafraid to speak the truth. In that moment, the conversation shifted, not because I had the right language, but because I named what the plan would miss. Leadership isn't about what you study. Leadership is about what you've lived. And the people living the consequences of systems must have power to govern them, not the other way around. When professionals control the record, families are governed by narratives they cannot challenge, and those narratives carry real risk. I didn't choose this work. It chose me. Being inside the thing that hurts you teaches you lessons no textbook will. It teaches urgency. It teaches clarity. It teaches the difference between what looks good on paper and what keeps a family going on a Tuesday afternoon when everything is falling apart. When I was on maternity leave with my third child, vulnerable in every possible way, I was still showing up to meetings for a national child welfare initiative. Someone mentioned creating a statewide parent council. Before they finished, I said, I want to lead it. No title, no roadmap, just conviction. That council grew. Parents who had been counted out their whole lives stepped forward. 2 of them now work in state government. Here's the key. Families on the front lines must shape the systems, not just follow them. Leadership isn't about a seat at the table. Leadership is about holding the table. Truth-telling is risky. I've had professionals tell me, I agree with you, but I could never say that publicly. I've had people whisper to me after meetings, thank you for saying what I couldn't. A year and a half ago, I stood in the White House, not polished, not rehearsed, honest. I was the only parent leader in the room. And that's not a personal milestone. That's proof of a gap I am here to name. Systems cannot change if the people closest to harm are kept farthest from decisions. Lived experience isn't empathy, it's governance intelligence. Leadership often looks like this: get a degree, apply for a grant, write a report, maybe survey impacted people after the plan is written. Real leadership looks like this: navigating CPS, family court, public housing, and IEP meetings all before 3 p.m. Choosing between groceries and gas and still showing up to an advisory board. Surviving generational harm and raising children with hope anyway. That is leadership. Not performance, not aesthetics, actual leadership. We praise lived experience, but we don't fund it. We invite people to the table, but we don't hand them the mic. Stories are used at the end, after decisions are made. Families are end users of our systems, and end users need power, not permission. Systems only work when authority sits with the people living the consequences. People tell me that my social media posts feel like teasers for a book. I am writing a book, but it's not finished yet because I'm not finished yet. But we don't need leaders with completed stories. We need leaders who are honest while they are still in the middle. Leaders who can say, I'm still healing. I am still figuring it out. And I still have something to teach. Systems are designed to chew you up. Yet here I am. Not because the systems worked, because I did. We need platforms where families don't just advise, they lead. Where families set priorities. Where systems exist to serve them, not the other way around. If you design systems or control resources, stop extracting stories. Start transferring power. Hand authority to the people living the consequences. Examine who you call an expert and who you dismiss. And if you are like me, living the consequences of broken systems, hear me. You don't need a title. Lead from your experience. It's evidence. Claim your authority. You already have it. I could have gone to Harvard. I had the intelligence, the ability, and Harvard is a great school. But even the best classrooms in the world couldn't teach me what life taught me. I learned by living it, navigating systems, facing impossible choices. I earned authority. No degree can teach. Here's what I want you to take with you. Democracy doesn't fail at the ballot box. It fails when the people closest to harm are silenced. Systems only change when authority sits with the people living the consequences. The world changes when the people living it lead. Lived experience isn't anecdote, it's actionable intelligence. Leadership isn't given, it's lived. Real change only happens when those living it have real power. Thank you.